In 2015, a group of psychologists led by Michael Freeman set out to understand what's going on inside the mind of an entrepreneur. And they published a paper. The paper's called "Are Entrepreneurs Touched with Fire?" So this was psychologists looking at what's going on with us, like all of us, what's happening on the inside. And I want to read for you some of the things that they found and see if any of this resonates. As an entrepreneur, the barriers to success are virtually unlimited, and most startups fail as a result. Entrepreneurs have lower initial earnings, lower earnings growth, lower long-term earnings, greater work stress, and more psychosomatic health problems than their employees. Why would anyone voluntarily accept longer work hours, fewer weekends and holidays, more responsibility, chronic uncertainty, greater personal risk and struggle, and greater investment of emotional and physical resources required to be an entrepreneur, instead of the security and long-term rewards of having a career? By conventional standards, choosing to be an entrepreneur is an exercise in bad judgment. Everybody feeling good so far? He then went on to share, however, entrepreneurs are not dissuaded by knowing that many are called but few are chosen. Optimistic and confident by nature, entrepreneurs who choose to close their firms, sometimes they do it by choice, sometimes they do it due to the market, repeatedly create new ones, often at the same time that they are shutting down their last business. Entrepreneurs clearly have different decision-making priorities than their employed peers. So we know that there's something going on inside of us. We are entrepreneurs. We know that we have high highs and we have low lows, and we've got a lot going on with ourselves. So that was the Freeman paper from 2015. We also have brand new data from the Startup Snapshot. Now this is telling us that when they recently surveyed a couple hundred of founders and entrepreneurs, what they found were 44% said that they had high stress, 36% reported having burnout, 37% reported having anxiety, 13% responded to having depression, which was slightly different from the National Institute of Mental Health number, which is 30% of entrepreneurs suffering from depression, and 10% suffer panic attacks. And so we put all this in the context of another study by Small Business Economics, which indicated that 72% of entrepreneurs report having mental health problems. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot for us to digest. And as entrepreneurs, we need to recognize that the buck ultimately stops with us. The success of our companies, the success of our culture, how we do as organizations, how we succeed in all the external ways, ultimately rely on how we do as individuals and how we are rolling. And so what I would suggest is, it's almost like when you look at these numbers and you think, oh, fuck, like there's a lot going on. Like this is not only a hard job, but I realize that there's a ton of forces against me. It's almost like we're playing the wrong game. We're playing an external game instead of playing an internal game. We're playing a finite game instead of playing an infinite game. And the nice thing is, once we recognize that, we make that mindset shift, we then realize we get to set the rules of the game that we're playing. As entrepreneurs, we're creative, we're creators, and therefore we can change the universe, we can change the mentality, we can change what's going on inside of us to vastly increase the chances of success in the long term. So that's what we're going to be doing over the next 2 days. We are going to be traveling inwards. We are going to be learning from absolute gems of people about how to change our thinking, overcome obstacles, make sure we don't get burned out, overcome imposter syndrome, and all the things that are typically friction points or barriers to our long-term success. Many of you who know me, you know that this is essentially turned into my work. This is what I do all the time. And I do this work hoping to create a positive impact for my company, CAPTA, and for all of you. And what I want to propose is a way of thinking about what is a conscious entrepreneur. How do we think about the concept of being a conscious entrepreneur? There's a misconception that if we put the word conscious in front of something, it means it's a bunch of barefoot hippie people coming together to talk about, crystals and burning sage and all this kind of stuff, which, yes, I do all the time, but we're not going to be only doing that here today. And there is an evolution that I want to propose instead. The evolution goes from the inside out. It starts with me. It starts with me. I call it the conscious you. The conscious you is the commitment you make to change. It's the commitment you make to changing how you live your life and to changing how you go through the process of being who you are and building your company. That's what the conscious you is all about. The most important word there is commitment. I'm doing this. I'm dedicated to this. This is happening. As entrepreneurs, we have fierce will. We have commitment. We can make stuff happen. That's the number one thing. Once we get there, we get to conscious leader. How do I manifest what I'm building, what I'm bringing about with a small group of people around me? This could be family, this could be my partners, this could be my immediate team, but it's the group of people with whom I spend a lot of time. I manifest them in my life. They become part of my support group. We therefore agree on how we're going to work together and how we're going to be operating. And so that's what I call the concept of the conscious leader. From there, conscious company. How do we make this happen? What do we need to implement in the broader context of bringing my vision to life and bringing myself and my personality out there and getting this done? That's the implementation phase, conscious company. So I go from doing this to myself, to working as a team, to doing within the company. So that's what we call the implementation phase. And then finally, inspire. How can I inspire the world? How does who I am inspire the world? How does it inspire new ventures, new businesses, new ways of thinking, new ways for us to come into the world? A lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake. If I start all the way at the end, if I start by doing something in climate tech or in ESG or something like that, or DEI, whatever it is, if I start with something with a really great goal in mind, does that mean I get to skip all this other stuff? Can I not do the hard work? Can I skip the inner work and just do something great for the outside world? Unfortunately, the answer is no. You've got to start here. You've got to start with the commitment. It starts with the 200 of us being here together and committing to our personal growth and committing to the path that we're on. So this is my definition of conscious entrepreneurship and how it fits into what we're going to be doing over the next 2 days together. The number one tool I want to suggest is fearless self-inquiry as a method for personal growth. Most people do this by meditating. Some do it by working with a coach. Some do it via psychedelics. Some do it in somatic modalities. The number one thing is I'm committed to self-inquiry as a method for growing myself. What can I remove? What mindsets can I change? What old stuff do I no longer need to carry with me? That's what we're going to be talking about, and that's what we're going to be going into great depth in today. The theme for today is awareness. Who am I? June 7th, 2023, I'm in this room, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a founder. What's going on in my life? How do I see the world? What are the thoughts that I carry with me? What's the baggage that I carry with me? Who am I? Who am I being today? I want you to ask yourself that question. And I want you to have the courage to be honest with yourself. say what's really going on for me. Am I really showing up in the best possible way? Am I my best possible self? Many of you saw this on the website. And probably, in fact, is what attracted you to this summit. What we won't be talking about while we're here. We're not going to be talking about all the basic stuff that you will see at other business summits. Why? Because they all exist. There are schools for learning how to do sales and marketing and fundraising and how to hire people and how to build a product and so on and so forth. And while that's all super important in the context of building your businesses, it is not what we're going to talk about here today. We're not going to do any get-rich-quick type schemes. We're probably not even going to talk about ChatGPT. Maybe a tiny little bit, but not very much. We're not going to do any of that. What we're going to do instead is we're going to focus on what does it really take to make things happen. If I agree with the statement that I have to make internal changes in order to have a change in my external reality, what do I have to do? What mindsets do I have to change? What mindsets do I have to lose? What behaviors do I have to adopt? How do I need to think differently? More importantly, how do I need to be different? That's what we're going to be doing. And so some of this is going to get a little bit uncomfortable. It's going to get a little bit emotional. It's going to probably go there for a lot of you. And that's part of what we are wanting. That's part of the value that you're going to get from being here for the next 2 days with us.